Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus Channel. The B-2 Spirit is a unique war machine which does not begin its mission on the runway. It begins inside one of the most carefully controlled spaces in American air power, the stealth hangar. The bomber itself is extraordinary from every angle before anyone even opens the doors. The B-2 features a wingspan of 172 feet, a crew of 2, and an unrefueled range of about 6,000 nautical miles. Its flying wing design, special coatings, and low observable shaping make it one of the most expensive and tightly protected bombers ever built. Those same qualities also explain why its hangar operations look different from those of ordinary aircraft. The hangar housing the $2 billion stealth bomber is not just a shelter. It is part of the weapons system. That is why the wide hangar matters so much. The B-2's broad wingspan and stealth-sensitive outer skin demand generous clearance, careful towing, and disciplined movement from the moment the aircraft begins rolling out. When the doors open and the bomber eases forward, every action feels deliberate. Ground crews do not rush around the airplane. They work around a machine whose external condition directly affects survivability in combat. A scrape, a poorly handled panel, or contamination on a treated surface is not just cosmetic damage. It can compromise the aircraft's low observable performance. The hangar, therefore, acts as a protected preparation zone, where the bomber can be inspected, serviced, and preserved in preparation for one of its scary missions. Before the doors ever open, tow teams, crew chiefs, and specialists have already synchronized their work around checklists and timing. The aircraft must be positioned correctly, safety zones kept clear, and every movement coordinated so the bomber leaves the hangar as smoothly as it entered it. Security outside that hangar is part of the same story. The B-2 is not simply valuable because it is expensive, it carries strategic significance. Air Force fact sheets describe it as a dual-capable bomber, able to deliver both conventional and nuclear weapons. That status explains why security forces outside the hangar are more than gate guards. They are part of the bomber's protective shell, controlling access, watching the perimeter, and helping ensure that one of America's most sensitive aircraft remains meticulously shielded before it ever moves toward the taxiway. A stealth bomber's secrecy does not begin in the sky. It begins on the ground, with restricted space, controlled entry, and constant armed oversight around the structure that stores it. Inside, the pre-flight process unfolds with the same deliberate rhythm. Maintainers inspect the aircraft, check access panels, examine landing gear areas, and verify that the bomber is ready to transition from hangar queen to combat aircraft. Then comes one of the most revealing processes of all, weapons loading. During Global Strike Challenge 2021, munitions airmen loaded conventional weapons into the B-2, showing that the hangar is not just where the bomber sleeps. It is where firepower is physically married to the airframe. Weapons have to be brought in, aligned, and loaded carefully into internal bays. Because the B-2's stealth depends on carrying much of its ordnance inside the aircraft rather than hanging them externally. The loading operation is therefore both tactical and technical, preserving the bomber's shape while preparing it to strike. Once that work is complete, the bomber starts to feel less like an engineering artifact and more like a mission-ready machine. The engines will soon light, the aircraft will leave the building, and the broad black outline will roll toward the runway with remarkable calm. But the hangar remains central to the story because it allowed every step before takeoff to happen under controlled conditions. For a B-2, the hangar is part workshop, part security vault, part weapons preparation area, and part climate-protected shield for an aircraft designed to penetrate some of the world's hardest defended airspace. If the B-2 hangar feels like a protected vault for stealth, the B-52 hangar feels more like a giant industrial workshop keeping a Cold War legend alive. The B-52H Stratofortress is a very different kind of bomber. A long-range heavy aircraft capable of flying at high subsonic speed up to 50,000 feet and carrying nuclear or precision-guided conventional ordnance. Unlike the stealthy B-2, the B-52's survival depends less on remaining unseen and more on constant maintenance, upgrades, and structural care across an airframe that has served for generations. That is why hangar maintenance on a B-52 is so revealing. Crews work around the bomber's huge body, inspecting, repairing, washing, and preserving a machine whose size alone creates endless maintenance demands. Crack detection is a critical part of that process. Non-destructive inspection specialists use testing methods that allow them to identify flaws in aircraft parts before those flaws become failures. Structural maintenance teams then repair or replace the affected areas, keeping the bomber safe for more flights. Even the phase wash becomes significant, because cleaning a B-52 is not just about appearance. It helps expose corrosion, grime, and hidden trouble spots across a bomber that has to keep flying despite age, weather, and hard operational use. In this hangar, the story is not stealth preservation, it is longevity. The B-52 survives because maintainers keep finding the weak points before the weak points find the aircraft. In practice, the process is painstaking. Inspectors move methodically across panels and structural sections, applying non-destructive inspection techniques so the aircraft can be examined without harming the parts being tested. The objective is to find tiny cracks, hidden fatigue, and problem areas before they spread under stress. Once a flaw is identified, aircraft structural maintenance crews step in to remove damaged material, fit repairs, and return the section to serviceable condition. The wash cycle is equally deliberate. Water, cleaning solution, and scrubbing remove built-up grime from the bomber's skin, but the real value is what the cleaning reveals afterward. With dirt stripped away, maintainers can spot corrosion, worn seals, surface damage, and other signs of age more clearly. So the B-52 hangar becomes a place of repeated renewal, where inspection leads to repair, repair leads to preservation, and preservation keeps a bomber designed in another era ready for the next mission. Every rivet, panel, and seam matters when a giant bomber must keep flying safely. And yet both kinds of hangars share the same hidden danger: fire. Aircraft hangars concentrate fuel, hydraulic fluids, electrical systems, maintenance work, and enormous airframes inside enclosed spaces. If a serious fire begins, it can threaten people, aircraft, and entire fleets in minutes. That is why high-expansion foam systems became such an important answer. Instead of relying only on water or portable firefighting, some hangars use systems that rapidly fill the structure with thick foam, smothering fire by cutting off oxygen and covering the hazard before it spreads.
So we are on McGee Tyson Air National Guard Base, and we are about to conduct a high expansion foam test. It's the fire suppression system. Foam dumps out of these big generators up here in the ceiling, the red generators, and it dumps on the floor, and we have two timing requirements that we have to meet. The first timing requirement is the silhouette. You can see it's taped out on the floor, the KC-135 silhouette, and it has to cover the silhouette within 60 seconds. The second timing is there's some blue barrels placed around the aircraft. It's got to cover the top of those blue barrels within 4 minutes. That's approximately 3.5 feet of foam in 4 minutes. If it meets those requirements, then the test passed, and we can move on with finalizing the project.
Air Force reporting on modern systems notes that high expansion foam is less toxic than older systems, does not corrode aircraft the same way older foam could, and uses a high ratio of air to water in the finished product. It is designed not just to put out fire, but to do so while reducing damage to the aircraft inside. The testing process is as dramatic as it is methodical. Crews activate the system, and within moments, the hangar begins to disappear under white foam. At Travis Air Force Base, one official report described 1,000 gallons of suppressant released within 5 minutes, leaving a 6-foot layer of foam across an 85,000 square foot building. That figure explains why the system matters. The foam is not meant to trickle in politely. It is meant to overwhelm the fire environment before heat, fuel, and flame can take control of the structure. Tanker hangars and maintenance spaces use this kind of test to confirm that nozzles, expansion rates, and overall coverage perform exactly as intended when lives and aircraft are on the line. But a hangar full of foam creates a new challenge immediately. People inside may no longer be able to see, orient themselves, or exit easily. That is why firefighters train for search and rescue inside foam-filled buildings. Moving through thick, high-expansion foam is disorienting. Visibility collapses, normal landmarks disappear, and rescuers must work by touch, training, and disciplined communication. The point is not simply to test a fire system. It is to prove that if the building fills suddenly, firefighters can still search for trapped personnel, navigate through the foam, and bring people out safely. In other words, the suppression system and the rescue training have to function as one combined answer to the same emergency. That need became painfully clear in Tulsa, where an accidental foam release covered a flight line area and instantly demonstrated how disruptive these systems can be when triggered unintentionally. A suppressant designed for crisis can itself create operational chaos if it activates at the wrong time. And once the fire is out or the test is complete, the job still is not finished. Foam has to be broken down, pushed out, collected, and cleaned away so the hangar can return to service. Cleanup crews then push the collapsing foam toward drains or collection points, clear residue from the floor, and inspect the space so maintenance can resume without leaving hazards, trapped moisture, or contaminated equipment behind. The whole cycle reveals the deeper truth about advanced bomber hangars. They are not passive storage sheds. They are high-risk industrial environments built to protect priceless aircraft, armed crews, fuel systems, and weapons under one roof. That is why they need equally advanced response systems when something goes wrong. For all their size, silence, and security, these hangars are only safe because people spend time and resources preparing for the moment when safety fails. That is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.